Hello, and welcome back to Kim's Cozy Corner. I'm Kim. Thank you for stopping by. I have been working in my garden over the last week, but it's been way too hot to slow down enough to try to make a video and harvest in 95-degree heat. So I just grabbed everything that I could. But I wanted to show you what I've already done and what I'm doing today. Because of the heat and the concerns of just really getting too hot out here in the garden, I had to do little short 15 minutes in the garden out back into some cool weather. I want to share with you right here some of the things I've been harvesting this week. So this is my average daily harvest of tomatoes and squash and cucumbers. Another day's harvest: tomatoes, a few broccoli, some peppers, some cucumbers, and some green beans. So you can see there are tons and tons of tomatoes and cucumbers. There are even peppers in there now, as well as more beans and beans and beans and more beans. There's so many beans. And lots of squash are coming in as well. And those are not the same two clips. Those are different times where I've harvested and brought them in from outdoors from the garden. I also dehydrated peppers during this time. These are paprika peppers that I am cutting up and adding them to my dehydration tray to go into the dehydrator. I also froze some sweet peppers during the week, where I just chopped them up into diced pieces and put them in my vacuum sealer in 1.5 to 2 cup portions, preparing them for the freezer for future use. These were some of my first harvest, so it's a very small harvest, but I didn't want them to go bad while I was traveling on business, so I figured the vacuum sealer was the perfect way to preserve them for future use. Was away for a business trip. I've been home for a week, and I'm going to be heading out for business trips that's going to take me away for the most part of the next couple of weeks. So we need to take advantage of everything that we can get done today. And so we're going to focus on onion. And if you've been following me since the winter, I started hundreds of onion seeds indoors in my indoor growing space, and I planted those out, and now we're starting to really get into the harvest. Now I've already harvested all of my red onion, and now we're going to start harvesting some of the sweet onion that I have out there. And so let me just take you with me. I'll talk to you about the different types of onion that I have and the process from here. Now, I am sitting at my she shed, and I use my she shed to dry and cure the onion. So my girls are going to help me a little bit with that. But the first thing that we got to do, we got to get the onions out the ground. So let's go work on that project. We are now in the garden. And if you haven't seen my garden in a while, it is really, really growing up. And I have many different types of onion out here, but we're not going to harvest all of them. So I have onion in this bed here, and they haven't really started laying their necks down, right? The plants are still standing pretty tall, so we won't work on that bed or this bed, but we will be working over here. These onion over here are ready to be harvested. And I have this bed and a couple more. So let's get those set up and let's start getting those out the ground. So these are my sweet onion over here. These are my Spanish sweet onion. I was looking for the name tag. I don't see it right now, but I know it's my Spanish sweet onions. And you know they're ready because the stems, or the necks as we call them, have bent over. And so that means they're ready to harvest. Some of my onion over here, the necks never bent over. And then I looked and I saw this. So they were already trying to go to seed. So I just went ahead and bent the necks over on those a few days ago so that I can start harvesting those as well. So we're harvesting all of the onion in this bed here. Now this is my biggest one right here. I think this is the biggest one, at least of this particular type. Look at that. Look at my onion. This is easily bigger than what I would buy in the store if I bought a bag of the Spanish super sweet onion. It's such a nice size, perfectly formed, and looks amazing. I know I say amazing a lot. That's my favorite word. But let's get these all out. Some are bigger than others. And honestly, I don't like to pick my onion right after a rain. But I mentioned that I am going out of town again for business. So we have to get these out now, get them drying, and I need to replant this space with something. Some of these are a lot smaller than others, but there's some really nice sized ones in here. Look at that. This thing got some weight to it too. Looking good. I got my daughter waiting behind the camera here, waiting on me to finish up so she can take these to where we will cure them. Now, you could eat these onions just like this. You don't have to cure them. If you want long-term storage on your onion, you need to cure them. And curing your onion only means setting them and let these outside layers dry out where you get the crispy leaf or skins on the outside. And this stem part here will completely die back as well. You dry them out and you'll get a longer storage on your onion. Now these onion, I don't remember short day, long day. I don't remember that, but you need to grow the kind of onion that supports the where you live in the country. So you need long day onion if you lived up north, kind of where I do, and short day onion are usually grown down south in the US anyway. I'm speaking about the US. And then you have some intermediate day onions that you can grow in the middle of the country. Typically, sweet onion don't have a long storage life, but I'm going to store them as long as I can. And then if they start coming up, then I will cut them up and freeze them so that I can pull them out the freezer and still use them. So you can see here, I got some small ones too. They're not all big, but I do have some really nice size ones, the size that I definitely would buy at the grocery store. Now, it's getting warm out here, so I'm going to stop talking and I am going to start harvesting. My basket's getting full. Whoa, that's a big one that I missed from an earlier harvest. And a baby. There you go. You're going to have to just carry it like that. You got it? It's heavy. Be careful of the camera. Okay. So while they are laying them out into a single layer into the area where we're going to cure them, and I will take you to that space, I am going to get the weeds out of this space here because it's getting hot and it's getting, I'm losing my shade. Okay, this is what it is. Utah Spanish is what that was. Utah Spanish, which is a very, very, very sweet onion. Now this space is all cleaned up and ready for something else. But we will worry about planting something else in this space a little later. Right now, we need to harvest the rest of the onion. So let's move over to a very small bed of white onion. Here, I did have some Texas 1015s. We've already harvested those. Those have completely dried out and we've already put them away for a longer term storage. But on this end of the bed, I have something that I can no longer read. I can't read it. It says white, I think it's a white Spanish onion, I think is what it said. but it's completely faded, so I can't read it. But they're definitely white onion. I typically only plant sweet onion, so I'm going to assume this is a white Spanish sweet onion. And I typically don't eat a lot of white onion. I typically only eat like the yellow onion. So anything is still a blessing. So here's a, I don't know, a smaller size bulb on this one. And actually, they're very dry, which is not a bad thing when you're trying to harvest, because you would prefer your bed to be a little drier. These onion are a little smaller. I'll probably will go straight to freezing these when I get back from my trip. I can't do it now. So they'll still have to sit and dry out just a little bit. But I'll probably go right into chopping them up and freezing them so that I can use them in my cooking dishes versus fresh eating. Nothing wrong with them. I just prefer the yellow ones. And for those who follow me, you know I planted a lot of onion. I had onion everywhere. And I would love to have a year's supply of onion. I just don't know if I'm going to have a year's supply or if I'm getting close to a year's supply or not at this point. But after we get all of these in and we get ready to do this again next year, I'll definitely know how close I came. So here's my very small white onion haul. And again, it's more than I had. Not something I normally eat, but we are going to eat it this year. So we're going to move this to the curing area, and then I'm going to move to the last bed of onion that we're going to harvest today. So we are at my last bed of onion, and these are Walla Walla sweet onion. They're, I think, long day onion, and they're definitely very hardy in my grow zone. And I'm in grow zone 6A. I'm in Southwest Ohio, and Walla Walla is very commonly grown in my area. I had a viewer talk about when I planted all of these different things. Now, I believe these onion were planted in March. Actually, throughout the whole garden, all of my onion were planted in March or April timing. It is now July 29th. And so they've been in the ground since, let's say, March 29th, just so we can keep them even months. So they've been in the ground for 4 months. And the necks on these are all bent over. On most of them, there might be 1 or 2 where they're not bent over, but we're going to pull all of these out. And I have some really nice sized ones in here. Look at this one. Now, this one was kind of weirdly shaped, but it is gorgeous. It's huge, huge Walla Walla onion. This is definitely the best onion season I've ever had. Typically, my onion get to about this size right here. They're still good eating, don't get me wrong. They're good eating, but typically this is as big as they get. Where this year, I am having a bumper crop year on the size of my onions. Look at that. So let's get these out while the sun is behind a cloud, so we can try to stay cool out here. And I'm going kind of fast. Wow, some really, really nice sized ones there. But I will show you the whole harvest wherein I lay them out to cure them. And what did I do differently this year versus other years? One, I didn't plant them too deep. So I found out that I had been planting my onion way too deep. And so I made sure I planted them more shallow. So when they start to bulb up, they're free to do so without the pressure and the constraints of the soil. Now, I have a very loose soil to begin with, so I have a very good soil mixture. I did a better job on watering this season. Look at that. And I fertilized every 10 to 14 days, most of the time. And so onion are very heavy feeders, and they got fed very, very well this year. Look at that. Look what I did. Look what I did. Now we got to clean the space up and make room for something else. I still have a few carrots in the front here. Now that I've harvested all of my onion that I plan to harvest today, let's move over to where I will be curing them or drying them for long-term storage. I'm not sure how well you can see me, but I am inside my she shed, and these are all of the onion that we picked today. I would say 90% of them are a type of sweet onion, whether it's the Utah Spanish onion or a Walla Walla. These are all sweet onion. And then I have, I don't know, a dozen or so of white onion, which by the way are sweet onion as well. So we will leave these in this space here until they completely cure or dry. And you know they're dry when they have a couple layers of paper skin. So it's gonna be papery like you would see in the grocery store. And all of these stems will have dried back to a brownish color. Now, some people cut them off now and then let them dry. I don't know, I'm lazy. That's just one more step. I don't do that step. I let them dry first, and then I can just break those ends off because there's nothing but crispiness to them once they're fully dry. But this is it. This is today's harvest of onion. I am so, so excited with this harvest. And I would say, again, this is my best year ever of onion. Now, this is the second harvest, and I have at least one more harvest in the garden of some really large onion, but they're not sweet onion. These are my masterpiece. This is what I wanted. I wanted onion like this right here. So I'm super excited. Thank you. I'm going to end right here. So you got to see some of the things I've done in the beginning of the week. You get to see my onion harvest, and it's hot outside. So I am going to end the video right here, and I'm going to go inside, drink some cool water, and relax, and maybe come back out this afternoon, and we will work on replanting some of these areas that we opened up in the garden today. But for now, this is it. If you like the video, thumbs up, please, and subscribe to the channel because I will bring you tons and tons of more video just like this right here. And I will see you back here again really, really soon. And until next time, bye.